3 other countries that they would have to take over parts of in order to create the Greater Israel. He genuinely and sincerely wants them to do that, does not care about the death toll. Because the more land Israel gets, the more likely Jesus is going to come back any minute now, and he's waiting for the rapture, where him and his buddies get to go up to paradise. And by the way, during the rapture, they end up killing most of the Jews.
Yeah,
so a
Jews
small
are
number
like
convert, most of them get killed.
Fodder for that.
Yeah, so, you know, the Christian Zionists are always like, it's the weirdest alliance ever with Jewish Zionists, because it's like, you know that they think most of you are going to get got, right? It's just a crazy, like, this reminds it literally straight back to the days of the Bush administration, where he had people in positions of power like this, right? Remember when Bush said, like, we went into Iraq because of Gog and Magog? You remember that story? He spoke to the French prime minister and said that, and the French prime minister was like, what? Like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's some biblical story or whatever. Like, yeah, bro, we're right back in, this is, as somebody said on Twitter, this is George W. Bush's 4th term.
Yeah.
That's what this is. So the idea Trump's any different from he is a neocon. Get it through your head. Get it through your head. Get it through your head.
And Israel first.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are genuinely Israel first.
Genuinely Israel first. So.
Yeah. So, but now I've yet to talk on my show about the other big appointment that just came out. Man by the name of Matt Gaetz.
Indeed.
Yeah, why don't you lay that out for everybody?
So Matt Gaetz, of course, congressman from Florida, who was previously investigated by the Department of Justice for sex trafficking a minor.
Fake news.
That's what he was investigated for. He's also under a Republican House ethics investigation for similar allegations. Trump wants to make him Attorney General. So going from being investigated by the Department of Justice for underage sex trafficking to actually heading up that agency. It is not only liberals who are very disturbed by this choice.
Kevin McCarthy.
Republicans hate I mean, he is, like, ideology aside, people just hate this guy because he's kind of a piece of shit. Just on like a basic.
Met him before?
Yes, and he is the reputation holds.
Wow.
So we interviewed him, especially in the early days of Rising. I think I interviewed him once or twice with Saagar, but also before Saagar was even there with Buck. And I think it was one of the times when I was there with Buck that he came in, he was furious about the tea selection in the green room. I was like berating an intern. And I mean, just like on any level of basic human decency, this man fails. And like I said, you can put this first piece up on the screen. Like, his Republican colleagues probably hate him more than anyone. This Axios article describes them as stunned and disgusted as Trump taps Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Of course, he led the whole charge against Kevin McCarthy and, all of that. So he's rubbed plenty of people the wrong way there as well. But he's also he's a mess. Like, he's constantly out partying. His colleagues say that he brings in his phone and shows them, like, hey, look, here's me, like, fucking my girlfriend or whatever. And they're like, okay, cool, thanks. That's who he is. Like, this is according to Republicans. And Kevin McCarthy got asked something about, like, have you talked to Matt Gaetz lately? And he was like, nah, I don't hang out with pedos. So, again, this is not from liberals. This is from Republicans.
Madison Cawthorn might have been talking about him. Remember when he was like, they came up to me and invited me to go to an orgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're on these like anti-drug committees, and you see them do a key bump right in front of you.
Oh, well, that definitely could be Matt Gaetz. The other piece that's noteworthy, I mean, there's a lot that's noteworthy about this, but the other part about the timing is he immediately resigned his House seat, which is not typical. And turns out, I can put this next one up on the screen, that ethics investigation, which has been ongoing from the House, again, Republican House, that has launched an ethics investigation into Matt Gaetz. They were set to vote on releasing a, quote, highly damaging report outlining their investigation, according to multiple sources. That vote was supposed to happen on Friday. And now he's hoping that since he resigned his seat, the investigation has to stop, and he's hoping that that keeps this report from ultimately coming out. Now, the committee could still vote to release the report if a majority on the committee votes for it, but it will require at least one Republican to go along with all the Democrats. And the other possibility is that just someone who hates him leaks it, which is, when you have so many enemies and so many people looking to knife you however they can, Kevin McCarthy, probably chief among them, very possible that whatever is in this report does ultimately end up coming out.
Now, some people say yeah, but he's not going to get approved. So why, like, this isn't even a conversation we should be having. How do you respond to that?
I mean, I always thought that this idea that, oh, Trump's going to be bound by the norms of the Senate or whatever was kind of preposterous. If he wants Matt Gaetz, and I think he does genuinely want Matt Gaetz, he's going to get Matt Gaetz. And he can either just make him an acting attorney general, which means he just basically does the job but isn't officially confirmed, or he has been overt in pushing the Senate, whoever's the Senate majority leader, which we now know is going to be Senator John Thune, to commit to doing recess appointments, which means there is no vote. You just get who you want. And Thune and all the other contenders immediately were like, yes, we'll do that, which to me is a very important indication. Thune was not the choice of MAGA. He was the last choice of MAGA. They wanted...
No, Cornyn was the last choice of MAGA.
No, Thune was the last choice.
Really? Worse than Cornyn?
Yes. Scott was the favored.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then when it looked like Scott didn't have the votes, then this is per Emily Jashinsky, who, actually has sources in this world. Then after Scott didn't look like he had the votes, then they were like, all right, well, let's at least try to get Cornyn. He fails as well. So
wow.
This was their last choice, Thune. But they all three immediately were like, yes, sure, we'll do recess appointments. And why that's important is because, the Senate, one of the things they pride themselves on is these confirmation hearings, their role as advise and consent on these nominations. And so instantly they're just like, yes, sir, we're going to just give up our power to you. You can have it, no problem. So I think Trump wants Gaetz. There's reporting that he and Gaetz had already talked about how the recess appointment thing would work. And I don't think he's any kind of sacrificial lamb or whatever, or some 4D chess of, oh, well, they'll reject him, but then we'll get our other ones. I think he wants Matt Gaetz, and I think Matt Gaetz will probably be attorney general.
So notice, when Democrats want something, there's always 58 reasons why they can't get it done. And the parliamentarian or this or that, or this vote flipped and we can't get the numbers and blah, 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 blah. But Republicans, people default to they're not going to be able to get that through. That's crazy. They're not going to be able to do this. And then it's always well, actually, if you do this thing and that thing and this thing, and then boom, you can get that to happen. So with the Republicans, it almost always feels like they're going to get what they want. With the Democrats, it's always they're not going to get what they want.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like a sucker almost watching this system unfold in front of us. You know what I mean?
I do. And I also think that there is an element too. I mean, Matt Gaetz is genuinely, on a bipartisan basis, maybe the most hated person in Washington.
Wow.
He is hated.
Wow.
Because of he just is an obnoxious asshole, and in lots of ways people find him to be terrible. And so there is also something to, if I force them to vote and accept this person, then they're gonna truly do whatever I want. And so I do think that there is an aspect of domination in it as well. And that's a common tactic with Trump. I mean, that's basically the story of Trump's time as the head of the Republican Party, is forcing people to defend increasingly absurd and outrageous things and go along with them, because it just means, you can push it that much further and that much further and that much further. And also, once a person has gone along with so much ridiculousness, then there's just they can't go back. There's no going back. It's harder to go back. So I think there's a part of that too.
If you don't know the answer to this, that's okay, but I'm curious, how exactly do these recess appointments work? What do they do? Is it just
so
since the Senate's not in session, Trump could just pick somebody and they just default to, okay, we'll use that guy? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
really?
Yeah, so
what the fuck? The guardrails are fake then. Everything's fake.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, that's the thing, is a lot of these guardrails are not law. They're convention, right? Even the way we've seen this with the evolution of the filibuster, where there used to be a convention of
I know a lot about the filibuster,
only used in extreme circumstances. You don't just use this on every vote. This is very rare.
All the time.
And then, but that wasn't a rule and it wasn't a law. It was just what they did. It was the norm. And once those norms get broken, then that's just how it is. So this goes back to the idea of the recess appointments, goes back to the time of horse and carriage, when senators would have to travel home and it would take a long time. And so let's say that your Secretary of State dies or resigns, and it's going to be a long time before the Senate's going to be back in session. All right, well, we'll just temporarily make a recess appointment so that we can get someone in this important position. And then when they reconvene, then we'll, go through the formal process, whatever. Obama tried to use this, I think I'm getting this history correct. Obama tried to use this power a couple of times, and the courts actually blocked him. The Supreme Court actually blocked him at that time.
So will they block Trump?
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
I mean, I don't know exactly, but I kind of doubt it. Like, this is his court too. So yeah, I think they plan. And the other thing with Trump is, like, he's used